Hi there and welcome to Cocktail Mode, the podcast where me, Andy and my co-host Dave take a retro video game and try and pair it with a cocktail. Today's game is Die Hard Trilogy for the original PlayStation, and we'll also be talking about a lot of other Die Hard branded games as well. So if that's something that interests you, please stick around until after this little bit of music. How long did you play it? The third bit, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
I finished the first level and I got to the park,
Yeah.
which is the second level, and couldn't really stand much more than that.
I think by the time I was able to finish the first mission, I kind of got used to it being janky as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
World's worst collision detection and the inability to turn the corner without stopping. And I just kind of got used to it and I was quite enjoying it again.
Yeah.
But I did think when it first started and I played it, Dave's going to hate this. And I'd already predicted you were going to hate it anyway. But when I played it again, I don't know whether it's muscle memory, I don't know whether it's nostalgia, because you don't know, do you? It's not a conscious thing. But I actually rather enjoyed it. And I beat the park level earlier today, and I enjoyed it at the time. I think it's, despite obviously the models being, I mean, the car models in particular are awful.
Oh, yeah.
The city itself is pretty impressive. And the open world nature of it, as much as you can't explore it because the time limits are so fucking strict, you know, you might as well be on a single path.
Yeah.
But if you could, things like, you know, technically the draw distance, the amount of buildings. I've seen games much later than 1996 that didn't have that level of technical aptitude about them.
Yeah. Well, originally that was the game they were making. They were actually making a Die Hard with a Vengeance game.
Right.
Because the film had only come out like a year or so before. And then there's just, I don't know if, can't remember if it was Fox or somebody said, no, you need to make more. You need to, the other films to be represented in there as well. So they came up with this idea of, well, we'll make all three.
Yeah.
And promptly palmed it off to some junior members of the team so that the good people on the team could make Alien Trilogy. So they had the idea, well, we'll do the Die Hard Trilogy, similar sort of thing. But we use all the good people on Alien and give Die Hard to like the Office juniors. Apparently the design team for Die Hard Trilogy were literally just sort of left alone to come up with whatever they wanted. There's very little involvement from Fox, very little involvement from like the people running the company. So they just sort of decided what they would do. Well, they didn't even decide what they'd do. They'd make something. Yeah. And then retrospectively write a design document for it, which I thought was brilliant because that's the way I do things a lot of the time.
I don't think I've ever seen a game. I mean, and considering GTA now exists in all its many forms, I don't think I've ever seen a game with as blasé a disregard for human life. Innocent human life. I mean, all three of them don't give a shit if you're going down.
I love it. I just love it. Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops, I've killed again. Shoots people in the face with a grenade. Oh, sorry.
Oops.
Running people over left and right. That's brilliant. I mean, that did make me laugh, especially in the third one when if you go to sort of first person, basically windscreen mode.
Yeah.
You get the blood splatter and the windscreen wiper just wipes it away. Like, fucking hell.
It is just brilliant.
You wouldn't get away with it now, would you?
I don't know. I guess not in relation to a known.
Well, no, because the company who owned the rights would look at it and go, "Oh no, you can't do that."
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's what you mean. You could make that game, but you'd never stick a Die Hard license to it in a million years.
No, not at all.
I don't think they've been 18 or R-rated since the second one, or was it even the first one? The films, I mean, not the games.
You know what? One thing I didn't actually read up on much was the films. I didn't.
No, me neither. I mean, I've seen 4 of the films. I've got my opinion on them. I don't really need to look anything up, to be honest with you.
I think we'd be very hard pressed to find anything new to say about Die Hard.
I'll tell you what is. I'll say that isn't said often enough. It is unquestionably a Christmas film.
Of course it is.
There is not a shadow of a doubt. People who try and argue against Die Hard being a Christmas film, my wife included, are morons. How is it not a Christmas film?
It's set at Christmas, on Christmas Eve.
It's got Christmas music on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
At a Christmas party. I mean, for God's sake. Anyway, that aside, the amount of films that exist where, you know, somebody with a fucking Beretta pistol kills somebody with a rocket launcher and doesn't pick up the fucking rocket launcher. amount of films where, somebody who's barefoot wouldn't take somebody's shoes. It's a nice thing. It's a very grounded film, I think. It's as much as realistic would be a stretch. It's very grounded. He's not a superhero, is he? He gets properly fucked up during the course of that film.
Yeah.
And I think that's to its credit.
Oh, definitely. I think that's half of the appeal.
Yeah.
He's a very human action hero.
Yeah. I think he gets less so as the films go on, I think.
Yeah.
Certainly in 4. And I think he takes out the F-22 Raptor with his bare hands. Something like that happens anyway.
I don't want to know any more. That's good enough.
I don't think any of the Die Hard sequels started off as Die Hard films. They were all something else that got retrofitted with the Die Hard brand after they were bought as scripts.
I think the second one maybe, because I know for a fact 3 was based on a short story or a script that somebody wrote called Simon Says.
Yes.
That's come out in commentary or something before. I've definitely heard that.
It's quite well known. I think Die Hard 2 might have been like a Steven Spielberg film or something like that. I can't remember.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my arse. No, it seems unlikely. It was written by Stephen E. D'Souza, who wrote or co-wrote Die Hard, so seems unlikely that it was. So yeah, it was. 3 definitely was, and
but Die Hard 2's screenplay was adapted from a 1987 novel.
Oh, there we go.
Called 58 Minutes.
4 was as well, which is, what do they call it? Stupid fucking names they come up with. A Good Day to Die Hard, or is that the last one?
Live Free or Die Hard.
Yes, Live Free or Die Hard is Die Hard 4. And I'm almost certain that was a different film as well.
Yeah.
As it began its life, I don't believe it was a Die Hard film.
So yeah, they're all based on other things.
Yeah.
Really.
So Live Free or Die Hard was adapted from an earlier script called WorldWar3.com.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, is it a cyber terrorist or something?
Yes, it very much is. It gets a lot of shit, Die Hard 4. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not as good as the first one, and it's not as good as 3, even though I think 3 is, to use one of my least favourite words in English language, overrated.
Okay, I thought you were going to say 3 is the best of them.
No, I think 3 gets a bit more praise than it really deserves.
Right, okay.
But it's a good fun film, but it's full of plot holes, and it's absolutely riddled with convenient things happening to progress events.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead ends, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that never get resolved.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it's something about the school where the bomb is, or something like that, that they have like a eureka moment because McClane shouts out of his car to a woman, like, "Who do you think you are, Hillary Clinton?" And they go, "Clinton, presidents, it must be presidents." And it's just like, oh, fuck's sake. That is the weakest writing. Yeah, it's properly middle school level writing, and I'm not normally nitpicky about things like that, but it really just jump out at you. You know what I mean? It really does. It's not subtle about it, and it happens 2 or 3 times in the course of the film.
Yeah,
but it's very entertaining, and Matey is very good as the baddie. Matey, what's his name?
Fucking
Irons, Jeremy Irons. There we go. He's very good, and the chemistry between Plane and what's his face is
Zeus.
They didn't say Jesus; they said "Hey, Zeus." Yeah, and that it's good and it is fun, and I've got nothing against it at all. But it's just, and anyone who says it's better than Die Hard 1 is a crazy person.
I'd put them on a similar level, I'd say.
Would you?
Yeah.
Really?
The second one's a sort of downturn in quality.
Yeah.
When one of your lead bad guys is the guy from Coming to America, you've got something wrong with your action film.
I've only seen Die Hard 2 a couple of times, but I just remember, the first time being disappointed, and the second time, when you go back and you go, I'll give it another chance.
Yeah. And
very quickly wish you hadn't. So, you were saying you enjoyed the first one of the Die Hard trilogy the most.
Yeah, which is weird because it's the least of them from my massively rose-tinted glasses view of the game. is that the first section was shite, the second section was good, at least, and the third section was brilliant.
Yeah.
An amazing driving experience, full of witty one-liners and clips from the film. Yeah, after playing it again for 4 seconds, third section is not clips from the film at all.
No, it's not.
It's lines from the film said by somebody. Not even somebody trying to sound like anybody, just said by somebody in a very annoying voice, very, very often.
So often.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I sat there playing it for Jesus Christ, how did I ever get through this? But you're going back, nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
When this came out, it's 96, 97, I think.
96, Die Hard.
96. It's quite an early PlayStation game when you think about it.
It is very, yeah. I mean, it doesn't have analog controls.
Nope.
It was sort of pre G-Con 45, so the light gun peripheral is a Konami own brand one that nobody owned and still doesn't.
Do you know what the best control method though for the second section is? The Die Hard 2-bit.
You're going to tell me, as a PC gamer, that the PlayStation mouse is the best control method for the.
Because it was. I had the PlayStation mouse and I can remember playing it with it, and it was really, really good.
I have my memory of Die Hard, Die Hard 2 section, and this memory could be completely wrong. Because as you said, it's nearly 30 years ago.
Yep.
I did have it when it was new. My memory was that I played it and beat it on my first attempt. And that would have been with a controller, because I wouldn't have had anything else. Looking at and having played it again, I doubt that's true. I think what I'm probably misremembering is the fact that when you do beat it, it takes about 20 minutes start to finish.
It's not a long game.
No, very, very short.
I always remember enjoying it.
It is a very, more than competent light gun shooter. I mean, when you think the shit that's out there as light gun games, it's even probably better than the Resident Evil gun game on the PS1, Gun Survivor or whatever it's called. It's probably better than that. I mean, the trouble is it's much, much shorter.
Yeah.
But for as long as it lasts, there's nothing wrong with it as a light gun game. It's pretty damn decent.
Yeah. It's good. It's good fun.
I think I'm with you on what you thought of it originally, how you remember your opinion of it back in the day. I always remember that, as far as I was concerned, it was Die Hard with a Vengeance, the game with a couple of other things.
Yeah.
I finished, if it wasn't my first go, which I doubt it was, I finished 2 very quickly. And then I think I sort of played 1 a bit, and then after a while decided to sit down and get through it. It's almost like a tech demo, it seems to me. When you think how early it is, it's all the breaking glass and the breaking walls and the explosions and the physics and things like that. It's almost like they were showing off, like making a game where all these things can happen, and the different gun physics even and stuff like that. It just got that. It's got that vibe where the developers team were just going, look, we can do this with like that level of destructibility, much like the technical aspects of the driving bit. You didn't see that level of destructibility in a game for a long time after that. 96. That certainly wasn't the norm then, and it didn't. I don't remember many games having it afterwards.
Yeah, like we said, it's an early PlayStation game. They would have been just trying stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one thing that I remember about the first section, the Die Hard section, other than it looking janky as fuck, because it really does, is all the glass breaking all the time. It's just constantly. Yeah. And I know that is like a thing in the film for about 5 minutes, but it's a constant thing. Every single room is full of glass, and every time you shoot, it's going to break some.
Yeah.
Did you make the terrible mistake of playing Die Hard Trilogy 2?
I unfortunately did. I cannot believe that game was released. I had to give it some leeway, because I'm playing it emulated, but then I sat and watched somebody playing it through and sort of reviewing it, and it genuinely is one of the worst games I've ever seen on the PlayStation.
I mean, I
couldn't believe how bad it was.
There's something wrong with the movement when you're walking around, and it's so weird and broken that I can't even explain to you what it is.
Well, you get stuck on walls, don't you?
Yeah, and it's like it's almost like it's too sensitive and not sensitive enough all at the same time. It's a work of art of of shittiness. It's just, I don't know how they've done it. Just a genuinely appalling game.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how bad it was. It wasn't made by the same people.
No.
The people who made the first one apparently were offered the sequel, and they said no because they didn't want to make it. So it got shipped out to some other people who just churned out an absolute steaming pile of shit.
Well, apparently, the team who made it also made Duke Nukem Land of the Babes, which is, as much as I've never played it, a notoriously terrible game. So.
That sounds high class.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Duke Nukem all over, though, isn't it?
Yeah, never been a fan.
No, I've never got. It's one of those things, isn't it, Duke Nukem, where it's like, I can understand when you were 15 thinking it was hilarious and brilliant, but why are you still clamouring for that now?
I think even as a 15-year-old, I would have looked at it and gone, "Oh, that looks shit." I'll pass on that one, thanks.
But yes, I think we should. I want that to be the end of us talking about Die Hard Trilogy 2 Viva Las Vegas. I want to forget it exists now, please.
Yep, I'll agree with that. Motion carried. And they never talked about it ever again.
I can't. I don't think I can. I can't get behind you hating Die Hard with a Vengeance, the game bit.
Well, I think the problem is my expectation going into it was high because I remember that being the best of the three from when I did play it originally. So I think it's more a case of it disappointed me more than the other two.
So I do think that this podcast sometimes feels a bit like ripping off your rose-tinted glasses and stamping on them.
But that's what retro's about. You can play something that's 40 years old for the first time ever, Boogie Wings or R-Type Leo or something. And you think, oh my God, this game's amazing. Golden Axe 3, Revenge of Death Adder, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Brilliant. How did I never pick this up before? This is genuinely enjoyable. You sit there and you play it and you finish it.
Yeah.
But this is something that I thought was good. And you go back to it and you think, it wasn't good. It was fucking terrible. Well, it's fucking terrible now by today's standards.
Yeah.
And viewed through slightly cataract eyes rather than rose-tinted glasses.
I think maybe it's just because my favourite bits of Die Hard with a Vengeance from Die Hard Trilogy are the bits where you're chasing down another car rather than making your way through a lap to a bin or something.
Yeah, that you miss.
Yeah, you miss by about 3 fucking pixels. And then spin it around and it explodes 4 pixels before you get back to it.
No, that's never happened to
me. I think this is, we talked about this for another game as well, where the games that were that new into the 3D area, 95, 96, still had a lot of those old school sensibilities about them.
Yeah.
And I think the fact with Die Hard with a Vengeance that you pretty much have to go the correct route and you can't make a mistake, and it is fucking difficult, is a hangover from that, because the 16-bit area and everything that went along with it was a Free Lives and You're Dead era.
Yeah. Well, it's still the sensibility of an arcade game, isn't it?
Yeah.
With no continues, which
absolutely.
is bizarre because they're effectively presented as arcade games. Probably not the first one.
No, not so much.
But second one, the gun game, and the third one, very much arcade style.
Yeah.
Very strict time limits. Very easy to fuck up and die.
Yeah.
Why not have a continue system?
Yeah,
it's got replay level and things like that.
But no, you're right, and I think it is a weird sort of halfway point, isn't it? They are clearly made. I mean, there are icons for bonus points in the Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, pointless. Ironically, serve no purpose.
This is, I think, that kind of speaks to how it has come from that earlier time, and it's still the 3D area was still finding its feet. But again, in terms of the game, chasing down vehicles, knocking them off the road, basically rips off Turbo Esprit.
Oh Jesus, we're back to that.
It's been far too long since I mentioned Turbo Esprit. But I honestly thought when playing with a Vengeance and the levels when you chase down the other cards, it's straight out of obviously Chase HQ rather than Turbo Esprit.
Yeah.
I think probably 2 holds up because the light gun genre is fairly simplistic, isn't it? It's not evolved very much from when it was invented to today. They still exist. But I do think once I got my head around the shit controls back in the day when you used to have to pick up a game and it was all your pocket money, whether that pocket money was £2 or £10 or £60, all your money went on a single game. And if it turned out to be shit, you would play it anyway.
Yeah.
Because you just
Didn't have a
spent all your
choice.
money on it. And you would get used to the janky controls. And, I played Star Wing, as it was called to me, on the SNES. The 50 hertz PAL version, slow as absolute fuck, with slowdown in some sections as well.
Quite significant slowdown as
Yeah.
well.
I think it got down to like 20 FPS at times.
Yeah.
Just dealt with it.
Yeah.
So, this is just
part
what
of the
it
game.
does. Yeah, it's part of the game. I'm fine with that. You just dealt with it. And I think there might be a bit of that. It's hard for me to look at Die Hard, any of the 3 games, with completely fresh eyes, because I played them a shit ton back in the day. They were, particularly Die Hard with a Vengeance. Played it over and over again, completed it, hit that fucking helicopter out the sky. You seen that? How
Yeah, I remember that. Just like in the film. Actually, here's a question for you. Which came first? Did you see Die Hard with a Vengeance, or did you play Die Hard Trilogy first? Because I'm convinced that I played the game before seeing the film.
I'm pretty sure I saw the film first.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw the film in the cinema, so...
Yeah, I'm 99% sure I didn't see it in the cinema, and I only saw it when it came out on video.
Yeah.
Which probably would have been after the game came out.
Could well have been, yeah. That'd have been weird. Why isn't he in a car?
Yeah, this is rubbish. It's nothing like the game.
I do think in the way they try and sort of weave in bits from the film, I do quite like it. It's very, again, arcadey what they've done, but the fact that the emergency services icon puts an ambulance in front of you, and I think more than getting cars out of the way, it shows you the way to go. Especially in that park level in particular. And I do think that the way they've kind of weaved it in is good. I do think it's, as you say, very weird that they have got other actors, in inverted commas, repeating lines from the film.
That's the most generous use of the word actor that has ever been used.
Have you seen any of the other Die Hard games in the last couple of weeks? Have you had a look at any of those?
Yes, I had a look through all of the various ones. As far as I'm aware, all of the ones that are out there, including the NES one for the original film. There's a world record speed run of 1 minute 44.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that looks great fun. Yeah, not a brilliant looking game, but it's a NES game. They never look brilliant.
I didn't play it. I looked at some videos of it. I don't know if it was one level or whether it did it in the whole game, but it looked to have some sort of line of sight.
Yes. Yeah, it's a fog of war thing going on.
Yeah, which I thought was great. That's really good.
That was the takeaway from it. That's really clever.
There was a PC game at some point in the last 10 years or so that's top down that used a really sort of exaggerated line of sight, and it reminded me of that, and I've forgotten what that game's called because that's my brain. I want to say like Telesync or something like that. Teleglitch, Teleg. So yes, that's what it reminded me of. Teleglitch, which is a very cool, it's quite got a little bit of a grungy PS1 aesthetic to itself, actually. Considering it's just, I can't remember when it came out. I would imagine
2013.
Oh, there you go, 11 years ago. Really, really good game. It's difficult, as you can tell by the Die More edition.
Yeah.
It came out in that era when every game decided it had to be the most difficult thing in the world. Thanks, Dark Souls. But yeah, it's good. Teleglitch, and it's got huge, really exaggerated line of sight on it. And as much as Die Hard on the NES doesn't have that, that's what it reminded me of. It's a game. This is where you get to show off your endearing lack of internet savvy. Where the former internet phenomenon was James Rolfe in, I think, his Cinematica days rather than his angry internet nerd days. For those who don't have the pleasure of seeing Dave's confused face, David looking very confused, doesn't get any of this.
Blank.
Yes.
Completely blank.
So, yeah, Mr. Rolfe was very much played the NES version of Die Hard and did his very much this game's awful ranty, shouty, sweary thing about it. Had he, I don't know, taken the trouble to read the manual or or just look up something about the game before he played it, because he was just trying to play a game that wasn't NES Die Hard. He was trying to play something else and then got very angry that it wasn't that. If you want a more rounded view of these games, Hardcore Gaming 101, which is one of the best gaming websites on the internet, they've got a little overview of the early Die Hard games, being Die Hard on the NES, Die Hard on the PC Engine, and Die Hard on the Commodore 64. Oh, and Die Hard on PC DOS.
Yep.
And the 64 and the DOS version are pretty interesting, aren't they?
What I found really, really odd about this is that it came out on C64, but nothing else.
Yeah.
It would have been, probably not much trouble to make a Spectrum or an Amstrad version of that.
I can only assume it was an American audience thing, because the C64 was bigger in America than the Spectrum and the Amstrad.
Maybe. I mean, the C64 version did come out over here. The NES version came out over here.
Yeah, but I mean, just as a matter of course, really. I think the fact that... I mean, I completely agree with you. I think it's odd, but I imagine that it's sort of something to do with either an American license or an American audience thing.
Maybe.
Because, yeah, you're right. The C64 version isn't a technical masterclass, is it?
I didn't look at it, actually. I found the NES version and sort of stuck with that.
Really interesting. So that the Commodore 64 version and the DOS version are probably the closest to the film. They're Die Hard, not Die Hard Trilogy. These are just the first Die Hard film. And in them, it's a very much a maze game. On the Commodore 64, it's that really confusing. It's like side-on view.
Okay.
So you walk left to right, and then at points you can walk into or out of the screen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the map turns 90 degrees in one direction or another.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that at all. My brain cannot compute that.
Really?
No, it can't do it. I'm one of those people who comes out of a shop and turns back the way they've just come. So that idea on a computer game, when it's because you've got a flat view left to right, and then you click a button to turn a corner, and then that new view becomes your new left to right.
Yeah.
But my brain just can't handle it.
It's not rocket science, I just think you've got no sense of direction, which you're famous for.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's just a shitty sense of direction.
There was a game of, have you ever seen the Death Wish films?
Do you know what? I never have.
They're shit. Don't bother.
Yeah, I got that impression.
There was a brilliant Amstrad game for one of them, probably Death Wish 3 or 4 or whatever at the time. And that did a similar thing. You had left to right and you'd go through a door, and that would be, you'd change orientation to move around a three-dimensional map.
Yeah.
But that was a brilliant game. I used to love that. Great fun.
So that didn't look like a lot of fun to me. But what did look like a lot of fun was the fact that it's really close to the film. So you kill somebody, and it's one of those things that there's not billions of people on every screen like there are the other games, completely unrelated to the film.
Yeah.
Every now and again you'll encounter someone and you'll kill them, and you'll go rifling through their pockets and you'll take their gun, and it does that thing that the film does really well.
Yeah.
And it's very, very cool. And I just kind of like that it does that. You've got an inventory, and you stock it up and add things. You add a fire hose, you add a key. More of a puzzle game, more
fire hose in your pocket.
No, I'm just happy to see you. And then the DOS version does that, but in 3 dimensions.
Oh, okay.
So very early ray casting technologies, or so I read, where you're walking into screen, it's behind your character who looks nothing like John McClane at all, weirdly almost digitized looking character. And it's apparently almost exactly the same map as the Commodore 64 version, but rendered in 3D. So you're walking through it in 3D and with the same inventory management puzzle focus, just from a completely different viewpoint, which I think is just fascinating, really, from a historical point of view, and from what games were evolving into and from.
Yeah.
It's almost like a snapshot of that. Apparently the C64 version is more fun to play.
Yeah, this looks really weird.
Yeah.
That's funky. I would never have guessed that a DOS game could look like that.
Yeah, it's clever, isn't it?
Because as soon as you said 3D, I thought, probably not. But it's not bad. How's it going, isn't it?
Apparently that's down to ray casting.
Okay.
I don't know who ray casting is, but apparently it's down to him. Come on!
No, you get nothing for that. I'm sorry, mate. Absolutely nothing. This looks quite fun, actually.
Yeah, I thought I was quite impressed by it.
Yeah, going back to what you're saying about very few enemies. One of the great things about Die Hard Trilogy, certainly the first and second game, in the films he kills 10 people, 12 people.
I believe it's 13.
Yeah, something like that.
In Die Hard 1, he kills 13.
You kill about 400 people every level in the game.
Yeah.
There's just wave after wave after wave of bad guys to kill.
Yeah.
And they all make the same scream over and over again.
I think sound design is not the trilogy's finest point, is it?
No.
I think that's probably to sum it up. It's not its strong point. There was a PC Engine game as well. Did you see that one?
TurboGrafx 16.
No.
Which is the PC Engine, isn't it?
The TurboGrafx 16 is the American name for that console.
Yeah.
That game did not come out in America, so it is not a TurboGrafx 16 game. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's a PC Engine game. It's basically like Commando Ikari Warriors.
Oh, okay.
Like no relevance to the film at all. And it's like you're in the skyscraper and you're walking forward for fucking miles. You're like, this is the weirdest. Is this skyscraper on its side? What's going on? It's really fucking bizarre. There's like 4 levels set outside just to kind of get over the fact that you're going sideways for so much. But yeah, and it's not that good. I mean, it looks nice. It's got that sort of almost isometric top-down thing going on. The sprites they're gorgeous, and it's a nice game. And it's got some nice cutscene bits, but it's a Commando Ikari Warriors type game. It's nothing to do with Die Hard at all. But hey, it exists.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. It looks all right.
Yeah, no, it's what's the word? Serviceable.
Passable, yeah.
Yeah, it does the job. I can't remember what it was. I'm watching these videos of these games. I think it might be the NES one. At the end, when you, spoilers for anybody who's not seen Die Hard, at the end when the good guy defeats the bad guy.
Just to break with tradition.
He didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on the NES version, it's got a digitized Alan Rickman, R.I.P., falling off the top of the building. And as he falls down, and sort of as the scaling basically gets smaller on the screen, it's got like a Swanee whistle sound effect.
God.
Just fucking hilarious. What are you thinking? Who made that choice? I mean, the fact that somebody was still making Commodore 64 games in 1990, which is when it came out, I think.
Do you know what I find really, really odd about the 88, 89, 90, whenever it was, version of the game? It wasn't made by Ocean and wasn't really good. Like every other movie tie-in game that was made.
It's true, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about it in Batman. We've been talking about it, Untouchables we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
Several episodes. All of them. Ocean never made that's a bold statement. Ocean never made a bad movie tie-in game, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah, that is a bold statement.
No, I'll stick by that.
I can't remember any of them. I don't remember.
None of them stand out as being terrible.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I take your point.
They just had the rights to every movie tie-in game, didn't they? Or seemed to.
But I guess success breeds success, doesn't it? If you're going to hand it over to these guys, they're going to knock out a good game of it in record time, and mostly did. Those were the early games. And then I think Die Hard Trilogy was the next after those. I mean, it's 4 games. It's PC Engine, NES, C64, and DOS. Because they're very different games. So the fact they're all just called
they're
Die
not
Hard.
the same game, are they?
No, not even close.
It's not like a multi-version release of something.
No, and even the C64 and PC versions, which were very, very similar in terms of the content and the structure, in terms of how they're presented, they're incredibly different. So you wouldn't call it the same game, not by a long shot. So there was 4 games based on Die Hard. And I don't know, were there any based on Die Hard 2? I don't think there were there?
Not that I know of. I think that was part of the reason for Die Hard Trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame it, because Die Hard 2 was shit, so why would you bother?
You say it was shit, though. It was massively successful. People like familiar things. People like characters to come back in all media, not just films.
Sometimes I'm that person. There are sometimes, you watch something and you go, I want more of that.
Yep.
Please. That was very, very good.
So to finish the thought you were in the middle of, Die Hard Arcade actually came out before Die Hard Trilogy.
Did it?
By a matter of months.
Ah.
That came out in July 96. Die Hard Trilogy came out in September September 96.
Oh wow! See, spent rather too long of my Die Hard trilogy playing and researching time playing and researching Die Hard Arcade because it's fucking brilliant.
I've never been a big fan of it.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I think it is. It's just bonkers, isn't it? And
any close quarters combat game where you pick up a rocket launcher. To go back to your earlier thing about not picking up rocket launchers in games or movies.
The thing that surprised me most about Die Hard Arcade was that in Japan it's called Dynamite Decker.
Yeah, they didn't have the rights to the Die Hard license.
Yeah, so Dynamite Decker is apparently Dynamite Detective, which is like Dynamite Cop in the sequels and things. But I had always assumed, because the plot is bonkers, well, for what it's worth, and the action is insane, and the characters are mental, I had always assumed that this was another game that they'd slapped the Die Hard license on.
Yeah, other way around.
It was it was developed as it's like by somebody who'd never seen the film. So a 15-year-old who wasn't allowed to see it because he was too young. It's just bonkers. It's absolutely insane, that game. I love it. And the complexity of moves that are on offer to you are far in advance of anything else. Because it's essentially a Final Fight style brawler, even though you don't really walk left to right. You're put in
You're sort of in enclosed rooms, aren't you?
Yeah, you're put in an enclosed area. You have to beat everybody up or shoot them or fire rocket launchers at them or sit on them and pummel them or perform awesome wrestling moves on them until they die.
And if you're playing in 2-player, there's co-op special moves as well, isn't
it? I think it's very in-depth, the fight thing. There was a point in the game when I played through it earlier. I coin spammed my way through the whole thing. Where I defeated somebody in like no time by getting behind them and cuffing them and just pushing them to the floor. And I don't even know how I did it. Genuinely, it's like having a fight, and then all of a sudden I've got him, and it's arms behind his back, cuff him, push him to the floor, and he flashes and disappears, and that's it. That's just
the one realistic thing in that entire game.
But it's got a very early and hilarious kicking in the nuts move with hopping up and down and shit, and lots of very cool wrestling moves, and the quick time events where you clothesline people at full speed. Just it's awesome.
Oh yeah, the quick time events mid-level.
Yeah,
they're quite funny.
Yeah, it's just, if you've not played it, it's say most of the levels you're in a sort of an arena basically with a set number of people, and melee weapons, fists, kicking, wrestling moves, guns, rocket launchers. I mean, it's bonkers. And then when you beat that, you run to the next part of the level. Sometimes, not every time, and it'll do like a quick time event where you have to hit kick, jump, or punch. It's all in the mind. And you just
that's coming.
And like somebody walk out of a doorway, and as you go past them, you will like clothesline them, and without breaking stride. It's hilarious.
And sometimes they're women.
Oh, there's no qualms at all. Absolutely brutally demolishing men, women, and children, and giant firemen for some reason.
And Mexican wrestlers.
Luchadors, got those too. I was playing it earlier. I just sat at my PC playing it with the door open. I just laughed, and Gemma happened to be on the landing, and she went, "What's so funny?" I was like, I just drop kick 3 people at the same time. And it's one of the quick time events. You hit a kick, and you literally 3 people, and you drop kick them all at the same time. It's awesome. We talk about how Die Hard Trilogy's got arcade leanings. That is just fully arcade.
Oh yeah.
It just, I love it. I think because of that silliness, that over the topness, and the pure arcadiness of it, I think it's fantastic. And there's like 3 of them, but it's like, because there's Dynamite Decker 2, and Dynamite Decker EX, which doesn't work on MAME, unfortunately. It looks very good, but it's basically a remake of the second one, just polished up.
Yeah.
But I got really confused because Die Hard Arcade is Dynamite Cop or Dynamite Decker 1, which was released arcade and Saturn, and I actually don't remember buying it, but I own it. And then Dynamite Cop was Dynamite Decker 2, which was arcade and Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Which will cost you £100.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the games feels like I'm quite tempted. There was very occasionally I'll see a game for that sort of money and think, you know what, I want to own that enough. I own nearly all of the Dreamcast games that I want.
Yeah.
But I don't have that. So that's when I start to think about paying silly money for things. But you can get the Japanese version for like £30 imported. And it's not like it's a plot heavy game and I'm going to miss something, is it?
It's not a particularly plot heavy film that it's based on. It does have as well, it's got a nod to Double Dragon. If you finish it 2-player, you fight to see who attracts the attentions of the president's daughter.
Who's 12.
Yep.
If that.
Yep.
Ick.
Yep.
Oh, I don't like that. I mean, the end sequence, such as it was for beating the game, is her looking at you with her really weird dead eyes and just going, "Thank you," and that's it. Roll credits, and the end boss is an absolute fucker as well.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, yeah. You have to beat him twice, and for the first few hits, he's got a double energy bar. And for the first few hits, I thought I was doing something wrong because it don't go down.
It's when you start looking around for an environmental thing.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what happened. I'm just like, am I doing something wrong? But no, it's bigger than 2 energy bars. It's just, you just got to whittle it down so it starts moving. I thought, oh yeah, brutally hard. I probably, in virtual main credit money, I probably spent about £80 beating that boss. But that's a great game. I think it's great anyway. It doesn't surprise me you don't like it. It's not really your sort of thing.
I've never really taken to it. There are games a lot like it that I really enjoy. Always been a big Final Fight fan. Love Streets of Rage, Captain Commando, the Turtles game. So it's not an unfamiliar genre or style of game or anything.
There's nothing wrong with not getting on with a game. It's very, I think, yes, sort of, the Turtles kind of thing is probably the closest it is. Apparently, right up until it was due to be released, you couldn't walk in and out of the screen.
Yeah.
So it was 3D in like graphics only. There was no third dimension to move into right up until very close to release, apparently.
It was the first game that Sega ever used textured polygons. I was reading that earlier as well. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of an experimental thing. But apparently they made it basically because they already had the license to make Die Hard. And it was running out. It's probably 10 years or something. And it was getting towards the end of those 10 years. And I thought, I wish to make a game based on this. And it was their most successful arcade game in the States when it came out.
I remember playing it in the arcade as well.
I remember playing it in an arcade in London. It was the first time I ever saw it. I think probably me and you, one of the very, very early times we went to London when we just used to go to the Warner Brothers shop and not really do anything else. I'm sure I remember playing it in an arcade there.
You might be right. And after that, see, I've got Die Hard Vendetta.
Oh, on the GameCube?
It is on the GameCube, yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
So I've got it on the GameCube. I got it off Fraser. Hi, Fraser. I'm not sure I've told you that this podcast exists. Have a listen. Because I think I don't know whether he sold it to me or gave it to me. I can't remember, but I definitely got Die Hard by here. And I don't know, is that the next one that got released?
No, you missed one.
Did I miss Nakatomi Plaza?
You did miss Nakatomi Plaza, yes.
Now I've started, I'll finish, in the wise words of...
I was going to say, talk about Vendetta, because you've actually played it.
Yeah. So,
or have you?
Well, I have, but it's terrible.
Yeah, it didn't look good from the video I was watching earlier.
It's a first-person shooter from an era when first-person shooters were even more prevalent than they are today. That sort of early, mid-2000s era when everything was a first-person shooter.
Yeah, Call of Duty had hit.
Yeah.
Everybody was getting on the bandwagon.
The Half-Life games had come along and, all that stuff going on. And, out comes Die Hard Vendetta. Bonkers plot. I can't remember exactly what it was.
It's his daughter, isn't it? His daughter is a cop.
Yes.
Yeah, I did watch a video about this earlier and it looked shit. His daughter Lucy is a cop and she's been kidnapped.
I think she's involved in something, a prison breakout or something. Oh, who gives a shit, really? But Al Powell is now chief of police and says, do you know what? Fuck policy and procedure. You just go in, John, and sort this out for me. You did all right last time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Well, as far as I know. considering I've played like 2 levels of it. It seems okay. It seems to function well as a first-person shooter. The GameCube controller's not really fit for that sort of thing, but it's fine as that sort of game goes. And honestly, this is what will happen. You'll be playing through a level, and it will go objective fail.
Yeah.
And you'll go, what?
Why?
And you'll go back and you'll read the pre-mission blurb, and you go, right. And so you'll have another go, and you'll be doing something, and it'll go objective. And this is how the game works. This is what passes for gameplay on this piece of horse shit. Honestly, I played 2, maybe 3 levels, and basically what happens is you start the level, it says objective fails, and you have to work out why.
Yeah.
This is apparently the gameplay that they decided on. This is the loop. Die and figure out why. I mean, it actually sounds quite interesting when I say it like that. It's not. It's fucking awful, and it's really annoying. And it's just shit. I can't give you any particular examples of why, but that's what it does.
The video I watched earlier was an Australian guy reviewing all of the Die Hard games.
Oh, okay.
And he got to Vendetta, and he was saying about this exact thing, the objective failed for no reason thing. He said there's a level where you have to go into a building, and you start off at the front door of the building. So you naturally open the door, which instantly kills the NPC that stood right in front of you behind the door. So you have to actually go left, go through smash your way through like a wood partition window thing, and get in that way. But there's nothing to tell you.
Yeah. No, that's
so like you say, it is literally, you will fail it every single time you start that level, unless you know beforehand that it's there, and that's awful. And no game should be like that.
No,
unless it's an intentional thing. Unless the game sets out to trip you up and say, right, this is our shtick, this is our thing.
Yeah.
Whatever the obvious route is will be a fail state, and you have to figure out a better way.
There's an indie horror game, top-down indie horror game that, as it predictably, I can't remember the name of.
Yeah.
But it's famous for basically trolling you with deaths. There's a point that I've seen on a video where you look at a clock, a grandfather clock, and you look at it, and I think the little pop-up comes up and says it's an old grandfather clock. And then it falls over and splats you. And it's just, apparently the game is loaded with stuff like that. I've got a funny feeling it might have the word last in the title. That helps.
Yeah, that's helpful. Cheers for that, mate.
The Witch's House.
Oh, yeah, The Last Witch's House. Fuck's sake.
So, yes. Unless you're going for something like The Witch's House, where it basically trolls you with unavoidable deaths and things, and you then have to play through it again and avoid because you know they're there this time.
Mm.
Unless it's the point, then it's shit design, and it is shit design.
Yeah,
it is really bad. And as technically proficient as the game seems from what I've played with it, and little I've played with it, just horrendous design. Really, really bad. Really annoying. Apparently it was, I think somebody or the team who made it, or somebody involved with it, made No One Lives Forever.
That's a great game.
Yeah. I mean, universally loved PC first person. Is it first person? I can't remember.
Yeah. It's like a campy Austin Powers style.
Yeah.
Shoot 'em up with a 60s female secret agent.
See, I think they were, somebody or that team was involved in it, and
it's the music. The guy did the music.
Oh, thank God. I don't remember the music, but I'm glad it wasn't the people who made the game, because Jesus, that would be a fall from grace. Let's stop talking about it. I'm getting a little bit of sick coming up in my mouth. You mentioned that, Nakatomi Plaza was the actual next one.
Yes, and quite a faithful recreation of the film as well.
So this is I saw a video of this. I wasn't able to play it. I think is it PC only?
It was, yes. I remember I had a demo of it. Not sure if I ever actually bought the game, because it wasn't very good. Based on that demo, I did think, I'm not buying this.
Yeah. It's just a weird decision that we've, as you said earlier, in Die Hard Trilogy, have people doing terrible impersonations of the people in the game reading exact lines from the film.
Yeah.
From what I could tell on that video, it was almost the whole film had been recreated.
It is. It is an attempt to remake the film as a game, and they've got none of the original voice actors. Well, none of the original actors to do any of the voices,
Except Al
apart
Pal.
from Al Powell.
Al Pal, yeah.
He is, isn't it? Need to find his real name. Credit him properly. Reginald Vell Johnson.
Reginald Vell Johnson, thank you, sir, for your
Reprising
work.
his role as Al Powell.
Yeah.
One of my favourite quotes about Die Hard is, you know, those sort of describe a movie badly things.
Yes.
Somebody did Die Hard as, New York cop teaches LA cop to rediscover his love of killing people. Because that's what Al's entire story arc is. Oh, I shot a kid once accidentally. Now I just eat donuts and drive around. And then come the end of the film, he learns to shoot again.
Hey!
And kill people. Bless him.
Oh, amazing.
The American dream.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? I mean, as much as I love Die Hard, and I do love Die Hard as a film, I do wish that bit wasn't in it.
It is a bit silly. Do you know what my favourite bit in all of Die Hard is?
The first one or the whole thing?
The first one.
Okay, no, go on.
And it's a tiny, tiny little moment, and it's really, really funny. Well, there's two. The first one is when the FBI tried to storm Nakatomi Plaza. They're all sort of running in, and there's one of their guys pricks himself on a rose bush and just goes,
yes.
Ooh,
yeah.
What the fuck? And the other bit is when you got the two FBI agents, the black guy and the white guy, and picks up the radio and he goes, Agent Johnson? And he goes, nope, the other one. What question did you ask?
My favourite Agent Johnson's bit.
Just like, no.
I was in junior high, dickhead. A quote from Alan Rickman, R.I.P., who said that one of the things that took him about the script when he read it, and one of the things that sort of convinced me to read it, was that all of the black characters were properly characters. They weren't caricatures and they weren't, you know, dumbed down and just there for the sake of it. They were actual characters, good or bad or whatever they were doing. It was it almost, you know, not a thing. And he said it's so rare in 1998 to see that. And it's one of his favourite things about
88.
the script, apparently. 88, yeah, sorry. And I'd never thought about it before, but it's very, very true, isn't it?
I still struggle with the idea of him looking at, because he'd been an actor for quite a while and been very successful stage actor, done some British film work. I still wonder why he looked at it and thought, yeah, I'll do that.
Apparently that was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
And I guess also money.
Yeah, huge paycheck.
Massive paycheck. We were talking about Nakatomi Plaza and the fact that they've recreated the entire film.
Poorly.
And you're right, it's a shame, isn't it? I mean, it's quite a noble endeavour.
It's a great idea, done not particularly well. I did watch a playthrough of it, and the game basically assumes you've seen the film and know the film quite well, because there's a bit at the end of one of the levels you shoot one of the terrorists, and to progress and to finish that level you have to examine him and take his shoes.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if you don't know that, you're just walking around. And as well, when you go up to the roof, the bit with the fire hose where he jumps off,
yeah,
if you don't know in that moment that you've got to wrap a fire hose around you and jump off the side of the building, there's nothing to tell you. There's no sort of no indication at all anywhere. So you have to know to run for the fire hose and then just jump off the side of the building, which is pretty counterintuitive in gaming terms.
Yes. You've just reminded me of another awful thing about Die Hard Vendetta. You've got auto jump. If you run to the edge of something, you jump off it.
I saw that.
Whether you want
it's not just the edge of something. If you have to jump over obstacles, it jumps over them for you.
Yeah, you just get walk towards them and it jumps.
I've never seen a game do that.
Well,
ever.
With good reason, my friend, let me tell you.
And apparently it kills you quite often.
Yeah, I don't forget what it was. There was something on the ground I had to jump over when I played it, and it's just going backwards and forwards like that, like a laser thing or something on the ground. I'm doing a hand motion, not a visual format. So it's low down on the ground, going backwards and forwards. And so if you like go towards it as it's about to bounce and start going forwards again, it auto jumps and it just hits you from behind and kills you anyway. Just shit. I said I wasn't going to mention it again. Moving on. So Nakatomi Plaza, Die Hard Vendetta. Is that it?
Yeah, there's been nothing since.
I guess the other game we're not going to talk about again. So Die Hard Trilogy 2, which doesn't exist and needs to be forgotten.
Well, it seems odd that you've got two more Die Hard films.
Yeah. Coming
out in mid to late 2000s or into the 2010s. People just don't seem to make games based on films anymore, do they?
No, it doesn't seem that common. I mean, I guess there was Mad Max
That was good. That was a really good game.
Very good game, yeah. And I was thinking about this earlier. It's interesting you take those sort of three elements of Die Hard trilogy. There's the running around bit, and then there's the shooty bit, and then there's the driving bit. And Mad Max puts all those into a single open world game, doesn't it? You do all that. You have there's the fist fighting bit, and then the shooty bits, and the driving ramming other cars bit, but in cohesively in a single open world game. But yeah, it's a really good game. I think my favourite of that, there's a lot of games that come out in that style because they did them for the Lord of the Rings games, and we mentioned them briefly last time out, the Batman Arkham games, very sort of similar.
Yeah, the combat is very similar to the Arkham games, isn't it?
And it's that kind of open world-ish kind of vibe and all that. And I think Mad Max does it best. I think it's the best use of that format. I think it works really well. And the thing where you have to take down the, what are they called? The convoys. I love that. I used to just basically pootle around looking for them because they were the most fun.
Rip off the armor of the trucks.
Yeah.
You just take out the wheels and things. Yeah.
Shoot the gas tank. They're just really nice. So clearly made by somebody with a lot of love for the film.
Yeah, bizarrely, it's got more lore for the universe than any of the films.
Yeah.
Covers more of the backstory of the world than 5 films managed to. Saying that, I haven't seen the new one.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, absolutely. Sort yourself out with the new one and Fury Road and watch them.
I saw Fury Road. I did watch that.
Yeah, but how was it? Did you watch it recently?
No, when it came out.
Yeah, so watch the new one. What's it called, for fuck's sake?
Furiosa.
Watch Furiosa and then go straight into Fury Road afterwards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's a prequel, isn't it?
You could literally edit them together as one massive film.
Yeah, like Evil Dead and Army of Darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. You really could, and it would work brilliant. You'd be a little bit jarring. You'd go, hang on, Anna Taylor-Joy has turned into Charlize Theron. That's a bit weird. But other than that...
That sounds like one of my dreams.
Right, so I guess we're on to drinks.
Yes, I can guarantee 100% you have not picked either of these two cocktails.
So with that in mind, I will let you take your traditional position of going first.
Thanks very much. So the drinks that I've chosen for this, because I can't really pick between the two, because one of them, well, I'll set the scene, both of them are from Firebug, the bar in Leicester that I've mentioned before, that do a cocktail of the week and a shooter of the week and or month. So yeah, they do a shooter of the week, cocktail of the week / month, depending on what time of year it is, what year it is, whether there's a pandemic going on at the moment or not. And they also show films. They've got a space upstairs that they have quite small, intimate little gigs, about 100-ish people. And from the last time that I went there, they've actually got an arcade up there as well,
cool.
Which I never really got a good chance to look at last time I was there. So I need to go back. But they do showings of films. So I've seen a couple of things there. I saw Batman Returns. They played that one Christmas. They show Die Hard every year on Christmas.
Nice.
Which the Phoenix Cinema used to. I don't know if they still do. But yeah, they've always done, or I think they rehash and reuse these two, because they've definitely been out in various years. I've seen them. So they do a cocktail called the Yippee-Ki-Yay and another one called Welcome to the Party Pal.
Nice.
And they're both similar-ish. The Welcome to the Party Pal is Bailey's, vanilla absolute, and caramel syrup. I've got no how to make these things or measures.
See, I would imagine that would be a shot of vanilla absolute, probably either 15 ml or 10 ml of the syrup over ice and then topped up with Bailey's.
Possibly. Normally you list the main ingredient first, don't you?
Yeah, it's normally in order of how much, but
yeah,
I think that would be in that order. But you would just top it up with Bailey's, fill a glass of ice, top up with Bailey's. I would imagine. Obviously, I got no way of knowing whether that's right or wrong, but that's what
I'll pop in and ask him to make me one because they have the book,
of course.
And the other one, the Yippee-Ki-Yay, which I found only as a JPEG on my hard drive that I had not named and had to look for 20 minutes. But I've got a picture of it that I took in December 2015.
Christ.
And that's milk. In fact, it says milk and cream, cherry vodka, vanilla tachin, and creme de cacao.
Okay.
And I can't remember drinking it, but it does sound quite nice. It's sort of a White Russian.
Yeah,
ish.
It's in that ballpark, isn't it?
Yeah. I do remember liking it, because usually I used to take the pictures of the ones that I liked.
Yeah.
So I've got a few dotted around in my images, which, like I said, are unnamed, unsorted, and I can never find. But yeah, I do remember that being a nice one.
Does sound like your sort of thing.
Cherry vodka and milk and cream was a good combination, I think.
Yeah, those neither of those sound like my cup of tea, mate. I'll have to be honest
No,
with
they're
you.
not really your sort of thing. You like your citrusy, fruity sort of things, don't you? Quite bitter.
I'm not bitter, all right? It's just that it's been a hard year. I love the sound of this place. I'd love to come up to Leicester with you and go there. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a good bar. It's always been one of the places I've liked in Leicester, which there are a few of.
Interestingly, my drinks are from a bar as well.
Okay, what are you going for?
And I also didn't have the measurements, so I spent some time this afternoon making it in different proportions and deciding on what I think they should be. So but there's a bar in Australia, and I don't know why when I was searching around how my searching rustled up.
Is it in Brisbane?
Cobblers in Brisbane.
I found this earlier.
They had a whole suite of, general cocktails. It looks like a great place. Lots of cocktails. And they have a whole suite of Die Hard themed cocktails.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read you the ingredients for loads of it, but they've got, now I know what a TV dinner feels like. They also have a welcome to the party pal that's completely different to yours.
Yeah.
Dark rum, Curacao, tarragon syrup, and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Do you really think you have a chance, Mr. Cowboy? Yeah, and all sorts of little, those sort of jokes. Baby, I negotiate $1 million deals for breakfast. Nice little references. But I went, because I had the stuff to make it, and because it reminded me of the cocktail that, was it last week you chose the one that had the pear in it? Muddled.
Oh, cider.
No, it was a cocktail and it had muddled pear in the bottom of it. I think, no, it was R-Type.
The companion.
Yes.
Yeah, the companion from R-Type.
Which I said at the time sounds like the nicest cocktail you've chosen by far. I've had like 4 or 5 of them. It's delicious. It is a really, really, really lovely cocktail. So anybody listening, go back, listen to R-Type. There's nothing particularly extraordinary or outlandish in it for ingredients. And it's just a delicious cocktail. Really, really liked it. And this sounds a bit like that. I mean, mainly because it starts with muddled pear. And then vodka, Lillet Blanc, or Lillet Blanc, I suppose, since it's French. And then the joker ingredient, fennel and marjoram syrup and lemon juice. And I made some fennel and marjoram syrup because I've got fennel seeds. We had marjoram in the spice rack, so I boiled them up with 1-to-1 ratio of water and sugar and made myself some fennel and marjoram syrup so I could make this cocktail.
Fair enough.
I mean, because it sounds delicious, and the fennel and marjoram syrup smells amazing. But I had to make this because as I say, it sounded like your delicious cocktail from R-Type, and 2, it's called I'm Not the One Who Just Got Butt Fucked on National TV. Who could resist? Who could resist?
I love it.
So if you want to make it to the sort of proportions that I came up with, anyone who's listening, model pear, we had some pears that we took off our tree and Gemma chopped them up earlier today. So basically 2 tablespoons of chopped up pear is what I used and was enough for the flavour to come through. I did a shot of vodka, a shot of Lillet Blanc, and I ended up doing a shot of my fennel and marjoram syrup. I imagine if you bought a fennel and marjoram syrup, it would be a lot stronger than mine, so you'd probably want to use less of it.
Be concentrated, wouldn't it?
Any syrup you want to make, if you give it a shot, anybody, just do one. So if you want 100 ml of water, you do 100 grams of sugar and you boil them up to dissolve it with whatever you want to flavour the syrup in there as well, and just leave it to steep after it's boiled for as long as possible. So I did a tablespoon of fennel seed and a tablespoon of marjoram, and it smells and tastes amazing. So I did, so basically the pear and then a shot of everything, shot of vodka, shot of Lillet Blanc, and a shot of my syrup, and then juice of half a lemon. Shake it all up over ice. You've got to fine strain it because you're going to have bits of pear and bits of, possibly even bits of herbs in there as well, so you've got to fine strain it into the glass. But it's fucking lovely.
Yeah,
really, really good. I mean, far nicer than a drink called I'm Not the One Who Just Got Butt Fucked on national TV has any right to be honest with you. But yeah, really, really good. Really lovely cocktail. And when I was making that syrup, I got a little bit addicted to just inhaling it. It's such a delicious smell while it was cooking. It's so nice. So I knew it was going to be decent.
Going back to Lillet Blanc, is that one of those things that's only ever an ingredient? It's the sort of thing you wouldn't drink on its own? Because there's quite a lot, isn't there? There's quite a lot of things out there you just don't drink on its own.
Absolutely. It's a type of vermouth, and people do drink vermouth on its own. And they do drink it with tonic, I think. Vermouth and tonic is a thing. I think people do drink it on its own. It's not something that's particularly easy to get hold of, Lillet Blanc. You're not going to walk into a Sainsbury's and pick up a bottle. You'd be looking for it, and it is mostly in cocktails. My tip, if you haven't got it, if you take some white vermouth and you happen to have some sherry, if you took a shot of normal vermouth and put like maybe a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more of sherry into it, and it will taste a lot like Lillet Blanc. And I'm probably breaking some cardinal cocktail sin, and there's mixologists all over the world telling me how wrong I am right now. But I did it before because Lillet Blanc.
Leave a comment.
Yeah, Lillet Blanc has got a little smell of sherry about it, very faint. So I did that before when I'd run out of Lillet Blanc, and I could borderline not tell the difference. But maybe I've just not got a very refined palate. Who knows? What are we doing next week? Whose turn is it to pick? It's mine, isn't it?
It's your turn. We've been threatening Tomb Raider since episode 0.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Finally.
It's finally happening. We are doing Tomb Raider. It's coming out soon for the Evercade. It's out. It's been re-released fairly recently. Those remasters came out.
I thought the Evercade was just like basically like a hardware for MAME. I didn't realise it was sort of anything.
Yeah, well, they do. Yeah, exactly. They do all sorts. NES, Mega Drive, SNES, Commodore 64 games. They got on there. I think there might be some Spectrum games on there. Don't know. But yeah, they're pretty much anything. Amiga. There's Amiga collection.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it is all emulation. So, and the emulation is on the cartridge rather than on the machine, or the bulk of it at least. So it's so yes, fuck it. Let's finally
20th episode special.
Yay! Love it. We'll stick as fairly rigidly to the core games, PlayStation and Dreamcast as I know them, and there's a couple of Game Boy Color games I'd like to talk about. We'll probably mention the others anyway because it's fun.
Yeah, can't not, can we?
Probably not as strict as we were with Batman on the sticking to, but there's enough I think to talk about for our 20th episode. It's a good shout, mate. Like it. We will be doing, in my opinion, one of the 5 greatest video games ever made.
I'm trying to think what the other 4 would be.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so there it is. Next time we'll be talking about Tomb Raider, an absolute standout classic in all of gaming, let alone retro gaming. So I hope to see you next time on Cocktail Mode, the podcast where gaming, like alcohol, is in our blood.